Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So, currently Kamala Harris has taken the lead on Real Clear Politics within the polling average. It's not a big lead, and in every single poll, Donald Trump would still win in the Electoral College. Donald Trump's still leading in a lot of these swing states. And it's a very interesting development here because almost overnight, Donald Trump started to kind of stagnate, I guess you would say, and Kamala Harris started to rise, and Trump has fallen about a point. And it begs the question, what percent of this is real and what percent of this is response bias? Because you look at some of these things, Biden's approval rating overnight just going up 5 points. That's not natural. Kamala Harris's approval rating in some polls going up on net by like 20 points overnight. That's also not natural. Her approval rating was lower than Biden's. Her unfavorable rating was in the high 50s. All of a sudden, overnight, you see a shift. And part of this is probably real because she's become the nominee, and Democrats are going to be forced to have a more positive view of her to begin with. But a lot of this is also likely fueled by something we call response bias. And I've talked about it before, and we didn't see it this cycle for some reason, but every single summer in history, going all the way back to the 1980s, even 1984 a little bit earlier, Reagan actually was neck and neck with Mondale. He won by 20. But you look at the polls on August 7th and a lot of these races, Dukakis in 88 was up by 17. He got decimated by Bush. And then Bill Clinton, he ended up winning by a decent margin both times, but not by the August polling data. Then 2000, they overestimated Gore. Kerry was up. He probably was never up, but you saw response bias. 2008, Obama was leading the polls, even though it's very true you had a reverse response bias after McCain picked Palin. He led in the polls. He was likely never ahead. Same thing for 2012 for Mitt Romney after the debate. Then you look at 2016, Hillary at this point was up by 7. She lost. Biden was up by 6, but he led it at points by like 11 points in the summer of 2020. That was likely due to response bias. It was not real. And now Kamala Harris, she has the smallest lead on this date for a Democrat in recorded history, going all the way back 40 years to Reagan v. Mondale. But some people, they're acting like the house is on fire. They're acting like Kamala Harris is an electoral juggernaut, and that's just not true. Does the house need to be maybe cleaned up a little bit? Yeah, maybe. But it's not on fire. I'd like for Trump to hit the campaign trail. There's things that I would possibly like for him to be doing right now. But still, in my opinion, he's still the favorite. It's still his race to lose. And it really just comes down to a few states. And this is going to be the case regardless. It's the case regardless of whoever the nominee is going to be, whether if it was Biden or Harris on the Democrat side. This is a winnable election. We have a polarized country. That's true. But it all comes down to who can cross the 270 vote threshold. National polling, it's important, but again, it's noise, and they've underestimated Trump twice. They've underestimated Trump twice in every Rust Belt state, in the Rust Belt 3, that Trump can win, but a lot of other Republicans have struggled in lately, even down ballot in races that Trump is not on the ballot in. But let's fill out this map, and we're going to show how Trump has easy pathways to 270. And while people, are giving their recommendations for the campaign, how should they respond to this shakeup? Well, listen, there's a difference between complacency, not being complacent, and just outright panic. And we don't want to see panicking because panicking will always lead to defeat. It doesn't matter who you're facing. Kamala Harris is an awful candidate, plain and simple. If she wins at the end of the day, there is really no excuses, plain and simple. It should not be close. It should not be close whatsoever. But this is what the Democrats are doing. So we'll give them all the states they're going to get in the safe column, and we'll give Republicans their states or the safe or likely column. We're not going to fill out the leans here. But either way, Republicans will give them Iowa, we'll give them Ohio, we'll put them at 219. On the Democrat side, we'll give them Colorado, New Mexico, Hawaii. We'll even give them Minnesota. Tim Walz on the ticket. I don't know what impact he's really going to have. Virginia, New Hampshire remain at large. Even Nebraska's second, we'll even give it to them because we want to really focus on what's up for grabs. And what's up for grabs, first and foremost, are the big seven. These are the states that are going to determine the outcome. If Donald Trump is going to be out there, if he was doing so good to the point where he would win a state like Virginia or he would win a state like Minnesota, then that's great, but he's winning all of these seven before he's winning those states, basically no matter what. That's kind of what this comes down to. It's a presidential election. It's not like midterm elections where one state party is going to have better turnout than the other. No, you have a full turnout election. People understand it's a presidential election, plain and simple. And you look at this, Donald Trump out of the gate with 219, Kamala Harris with 226. And the question is, what is Donald Trump's path to victory here? And the first state is kind of an obvious one. It's one of the seven that he won in the 2020 election. That would be the state of North Carolina. This is a state that Trump should win. I really can't see him getting to 270 electoral votes if he cannot win the state of North Carolina. It's a state that's gone Republican every election since, I think, 1976 or so, with the exception of 2008 when Obama did extraordinarily well with black turnout, but McCain didn't necessarily get Trump numbers with white working class voters. You know, Biden got that Obama-level black turnout in 2020, but Donald Trump won the state by 1 to 2 points just because he turned out those white working class voters. And you talk about North Carolina, this is a state Donald Trump is likely going to win. He probably improves in, mainly because you talk about the exurbs. I don't think Kamala Harris is going to bode too well in them, even compared to Biden. But also the northeastern part of the state and even the southeastern part, they've moved right and they keep moving right. I really think that Trump is going to end up taking the state by 2 to 3 points. Harris wants to contest it. I don't think it's really going to bode too well. She's spending money in Florida, spending money in North Carolina. Let her do it, but she's not exactly going to go out there and win. So that's part of the pathway to victory, plain and simple. And then you ask, what's the next domino to fall? I think the next domino to fall would have to be the state of Georgia. And I think Harris would do better in Georgia than Biden, just because I think that she would energize black voters, mainly black women, to turn out compared to Biden. But still, I think the impact is overrated. I think she's going to do worse than 2020 Biden in regards to both black turnout, but also her percentages as well. But I think that you look at Georgia, this is a state that has basically fixed their election system to an extent. You saw a lot of election integrity legislations. You're not going to be able to have Democrats bribe people with water and food to get in line like they were able to do in the past. So already, you'll probably see Trump go out there and win. The rurals keep getting redder. Their turnout keeps going up. Overall, the suburbs are kind of an issue for Republicans and have been, but their growth is kind of slowed. And you're basically just going to see the state hinge on turnout in Fulton County, where Democrats had a 240,000 vote advantage. You add that with DeKalb County. Those two counties combined basically gave them 500,000 votes out of the gate. If that dips down to 400,000 overall, just because of a dip in black turnout in the city there and even in some of these suburbs, then yeah, it's very likely that Donald Trump is going to go out there and retake the state into his column, plain and simple. So he's at 251. Harris is at 226. So Trump can actually win if he gets Pennsylvania. I mean, plain and simple, that's the most easy pathway for him. People are saying, why is he only spending ad money in Pennsylvania and Georgia? Well, I kind of wonder why, because if you get those two states, nothing else matters. Nothing does. Now, I'm sure he's going to be spending in all 7 of these. He should be. But Pennsylvania as a whole, this is a crucial state for Donald Trump. It really is. And it was a very razor-thin state in 2020. Here's the problem. Joe Biden was from the state of Pennsylvania. Not necessarily as much as he would LARP about it, but he did have that connection. People did call him Pennsylvania's 3rd senator. He ran it up in the Philadelphia area. He did extraordinarily well in northeastern Pennsylvania. I think that if you talk about turnout in the Philadelphia suburbs, even if it maintains the same or Democrats gain a little bit here and there, which would be contrary to recent registration data, which was not the case in 2020 in a lot of those counties. But every county is moving right in terms of registrations, including the city of Philadelphia. I think Trump's going to do extraordinarily well. You talk about the city of Philadelphia, I think turnout, even if it's a small drop in turnout, and you see Donald Trump break, 20, even if it gets to 22%, look at that. The margin in the state is gone. Reverse Biden's home state advantage in the county of Lackawanna, which is Scranton, already out of the gate. You give the Hillary margin there in terms of the percentages, boom, Trump wins Pennsylvania. Harris, I mean, she's got to be hit hard on fracking. She's got to be hit hard on a lot of things overall. But she's not a really good fit for Pennsylvania, especially now that she passed up on Josh Shapiro. I always thought the impact of Shapiro was overrated, but this election could come down to a few thousand votes in Pennsylvania. And that's kind of something that you could regard to be a missed opportunity. It's possible Shapiro, with a lot of scandals that he had, could backfire, or maybe he wouldn't be a fit for certain other states. But still, I mean, if we're going to be honest here, Pennsylvania, that is a state that Donald Trump should flip, and it's crucial. And if he does, and he gets Georgia, that's 270. He wins. It's that easy. Harris could win the popular vote by 4 to 5 and still lose the election. That's the problem that she has. She's only up by 0.5%, and a lot of that is due to response bias. She's not a good fit with Hispanics. She's not a good fit for white working class voters overall, especially compared to Joe Biden. I think she's a worse fit for them than Hillary Clinton, plain and simple. And Tim Walz on the ticket, he didn't even really do that well with that demographic against a weak candidate in 2022, a year where most incumbent governors, like in Wisconsin and Michigan, expanded on their vote share. He lost 4% on net, and you look at that there, and he's just not really going to bring anything to the table other than energizing the far left, which, again, if you're placating them, usually that doesn't bode too well, plain and simple. So Michigan, Wisconsin, we could talk about those states. He has other pathways to victory. If for some reason he doesn't get Pennsylvania, he can win if he gets Wisconsin and Arizona, which again, Harris is not a good fit for the state of Arizona. Very high information state that has a lot more Republicans in it than Democrats. They've expanded their voter registration edge significantly. Same thing with Nevada, especially because they're cleaning out their voter rolls due to certain lawsuits that have been successful. That's going to be harder for Democrats to potentially use to their advantage, and they know it. So there's so many pathways to victory. I think that you could talk about Michigan being a state that Harris might do a tad better in because of energizing black turnout. It's a state with a 15% black electorate. And there's also the Muslim vote that Biden was struggling with. And I think Harris-Walz will do better than Biden would have done. But at the end of the day, it's like, if we're going to be honest, there's a lot of pathways to victory, but we got to just stay focused and keep our eye on the prize, our eye on the ball. We still have like 90 days to go before Election Day. And I see so many people panicking. They're up in arms. And it's like, it could get worse in the polling. We could see a Harris +6 in the RCP average by the end of the month after the DNC. You heard it here first. But still, that doesn't even mean she's the favorite, because you have response bias and you have things like the convention and the sugar high. The problem is that early voting starts in late September, early October in a lot of states. So by then, if the polls are showing what they're showing now, there's going to be a little bit of a reason for concern. But as of right now, we just need to stay focused, hit Harris where it hurts, go from there, and we're going to have a lot of fun on November 5th. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.